For the visualization portion of this project, we used SAS visual analytics software to evaluate the effects of 4 factors on oil pressure sensor failure. First, projected failure rates. Second, the effect of cold weather. Third, software and hardware levels. And fourth, a strategy for segmenting the truck population for a targeted warranty program. In our first analysis, we projected the average failure time for oil pressure sensors by different manufacturers. As observed in the field, the oil pressure sensors installed prior to February 2013 are projected to fail at a rate of roughly 50% of all such oil pressure sensors by month 36. But given changes in software and hardware around month February 2013, now the average failure rate for oil pressure sensors is down to about 22%, which is really fairly close to the historical projected failure rate of roughly 17% in the same time period. The next factor we analyzed was the relationship of cold weather to oil pressure sensor risk. By focusing on the months of December, January, and February, for all trucks under 200,000 miles, we plotted the set of trucks in North America and their projected risk within the next 90 days of having an oil pressure sensor based on exposure to cold weather. By focusing on latitudes, we can see that higher latitudes, those going more northerly, have higher risk, and that's also correlated with the presence of especially cold temperatures. So these temperatures being in Fahrenheit, the trucks exposed to colder weather have higher probability of risk, and that's depicted by the larger and more reddish colored truck clusters. That's emphasized even more clearly if I turn off the trucks in these 2 latitude bins, where you can see the trucks in the southern US generally have a mix of some red and some green, but the trucks up in the north are almost all orange and red, meaning higher risk as a function of weather when holding other factors like mileage and series constant. Now we introduce the telematics data and the ability to pinpoint trucks based on what software level they're working with. Let's first select those trucks in the model series with a software level that was in place with the earlier oil pressure sensors, where the risk is much higher. The risk spread, is indicated by this cross-hatching, indicates that these are a good proportion of the higher risk vehicles because they're off to the right side of the risk chart. And if you look at the trucks highlighted in the telematics map, most of these are colored red and yellow, indicating, again, higher risk vehicles. But a subsequent software level that was installed in some trucks has a much lower risk profile. These selected points are off to the left side of the risk plot, and many of these data points are in the green shaded trucks here depicted on the map. In our last analysis, we want to use the insights we've gathered from the risk profiling that we've conducted so far to build a campaign to selectively target trucks for a proactive oil pressure sensor replacement. So along the top, we've got a count of all the vehicles in our file, and we can see that all of the risk bins are currently candidates for selection. So that's really not even placing any filters on here. Well, there's a relative, we know from our analysis we're interested in trucks with higher mileage. So let's select the trucks that have at least 100,000 miles on them. Let's also not select sensors installed after February 13 because we know that those are lower risk. Let's select those only with, let's say, 10 or more previous repairs. And let's exclude those trucks in southern latitude ranges. Now that we've filtered those down a bit, we can also see that there's a relatively small count of some of these smaller model series. So let's eliminate them as well. This has taken us down to roughly 9% of all records, and that's got us to a distinct count of about 13,000 unique trucks, of which most of them are in. The selections that we've run have brought us mostly those in the highest risk bands, which is also corroborated by the view on the map of these are almost all the trucks rated for highest risk. This ability allows us to selectively target those trucks with the highest likelihood of being good targets for our warranty campaign.